Hey folks, as you know, the 2016 election is finally over, and Donald Trump is our new president now. And I voted for him, so I'm really glad about this, and I hope he follows through on at least most of his promises. He might not be able to keep all his promises, but I hope he'll follow through on at least most of them. So, yeah, I mean, I voted for him because he's very passionate and he seems more sincere and real and not afraid of political correctness. I mean, you get this gut instinct that he's he's the kind of guy that will do what's right, and not care what people think or not care what the establishment thinks or about being politically correct and stuff like that. And that takes courage because most people live in fear. They live in fear of what other people think, and they live in fear of not being politically correct, which I've never understood because I've never been afraid of political correctness. So I can't relate to that. So I can relate to someone like Donald Trump a lot more than I can some liberal, or like Hillary Clinton, for example, or Obama, who just says everything that's politically correct without any courage and passion for the truth. Because in reality, truth is often not politically correct, and only a small percentage of people have the courage to say what's not politically correct. Okay, and I am one of those people, and to some extent, Donald Trump is one of those people too. And there aren't many people like that because most people are afraid to say something that's not politically correct, and they're afraid of what other people will think. And but those people are not living in reality. They're not reality based. They're not truth based because truth is often not politically correct. So this notion among liberals that truth always has to be politically correct is absurd. It's illogical and it's untrue. Very often, truth is not politically correct, and I can give so many examples of that, but I'm not going to do that in this video. What I want to talk about in this video is the obvious reasons why Hillary Clinton lost that people are not saying on the media, at least not the mainstream media. I'm sure some people are saying it in free speech websites or forums, but for some reason they hire these commentators in the mainstream media, especially CNN, and they're just not very deep. I mean, they don't see the obvious. They're not. I don't know. I mean, they're just so phony and plastic. They're just not. They're just not that authentic. At least not compared to me. And they've given a lot of reasons for why Hillary Clinton lost, but I mean, they're missing two very obvious ones that are just a no-brainer, that are just anyone can just see just by looking, but they're not talking about it. I don't know why. What's the deal with truth and honesty? I mean, nobody tells the real bare bones truth anymore. I mean, everyone's so wishy-washy and beating around the bush. It's just bizarre. I mean, anyways, the two obvious reasons that Hillary lost that the media is not talking about is, number one, I mean, she just doesn't look strong and she doesn't have any charisma. And that's really important because people want a leader that looks strong and has some charisma or magnetism that attracts people. Those are two very, very, very important things. And even if you look at history, people vote for the stronger person usually, and the person with more charisma too. Because if you think about it, I mean, a leader has to be strong, otherwise people don't respect him. And this is true in the animal kingdom too, not just the human kingdom. I mean, not just in the human world, but also in the animal world. Because when you look at apes or monkeys or other species of animals, they'll usually select a leader in the pack, and that leader will usually be the strongest person. I mean, the strongest animal, okay. And this was even exemplified in the movie one of the recent movies, the new ones of Planet of the Apes. I think it was called Rise of the Planet of the Apes. And in that movie, one of the apes mentioned that the apes will follow a leader that's the strongest. They'll follow the strongest ape. Okay, so, even a movie like that will tell you a simple truth that, animals like apes, even intelligent animals, like in that movie Planet of the Apes, the new one, not the original one. I'm talking about the sequel, the second movie that of the reboot series, the new series, the new movie series, Planet of the Apes. The second one, it was called Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Okay, even intelligent apes will say that all the apes are going to follow and hang off the leader that's the strongest. They'll follow the strongest ape. Okay, and it's just instinctive in human nature to do that. And, as we all know, apes and humans do have some similar qualities. I mean, they're not exactly alike, of course, but they have some similarities. Okay, I'm not one of those evolutionists that are going to tell you that we're apes just like they are, because humans are kind of a hybrid of different things. So they're not just apes. But that's a whole nother subject. But human nature is the same way. I mean, people will follow someone that's strong, and Hillary Clinton doesn't have that. She doesn't look strong. She looks kind of weak and fragile. And not only did she have health problems, but she just doesn't look very strong. She doesn't look like she has stamina. Okay. And a leader needs to be strong, and proud and tall too. I mean, almost all U.S. presidents have been really tall. I heard. I think they've all been at least 6 foot tall. 6 foot tall. So, I mean, people just don't elect someone that's short for some reason, at least in America. So, I'm surprised Hillary even got to run at all. I mean, she just doesn't fit the bill as a presidential candidate. She doesn't look strong. She's not tall. She doesn't look really confident. She doesn't look like she projects any strength. Okay? And those are important qualities for a leader. And this is super obvious. Why does no one on the news, all those commentators, mention this? I mean, they babble on for many hours, but they don't talk about this. And she doesn't have charisma either. I mean, she just seems kind of phony and plastic and just not very authentic. It seems like she's just saying whatever is politically correct, just like Obama does. She doesn't really speak from the heart or have any principle or passion or courage. She just, her whole persona is just really phony. And a lot of people I know have noticed this. At least, free thinkers notice this, very obvious. Because us free thinkers are very authentic and very genuine, and so when someone is not authentic and genuine, we can see that very clearly. So yeah, to someone really authentic like me and the people I hang out with, I mean, someone like Hillary or Obama is obviously very phony and plastic. And when someone is very fake and plastic, it's hard to trust them. You don't trust people that seem inauthentic. So, it's hard to trust someone like Hillary because she just doesn't look genuine, okay? That's another reason, of course. But I'm talking about the first reason right now. And on the other hand, I mean, Donald Trump, I mean, he seemed very strong. I mean, he seemed to have strength, courage, and confidence. And of course, that's to be expected since he is a winner. He's very successful. He's a billionaire. Even though he inherited some money, he took that money and multiplied it and made good business decisions. So, I mean, he looks like a leader. He looks strong. He looks confident, and he's tall too. And so people naturally gravitate toward the stronger person as leader. This is just nature. It's human nature. I mean, it's simple logic too. It's basic logic. So why don't any of the stupid commentators on CNN talk about this? I mean, they should. I mean, if they're that dumb and they don't see the obvious things, I mean, they should bring me on so I could talk about this and give them a dose of reality. How can I see these things, but they don't? I mean, they're just dumb. They're just so phony and plastic. They just, I don't know, maybe they just don't like to see obvious truths, and of course they were biased on Hillary's side too. The second reason Hillary lost that's very obvious is that, and this one is a bit taboo, and I'll explain why later. The second reason is that she did absolutely nothing to appeal to men. Okay, nothing. She didn't even try to appeal to men. I mean, Donald Trump at least tried to appeal to women and minorities, but Hillary didn't even do anything to try to appeal to men, and so she acted like she didn't even need the vote of the men. She only wanted the vote of the women, and that's a very, very bad tactical mistake. Because I mean, why do you want to act like you don't need half the population's vote? I mean, it was like she didn't need the vote of men. She didn't care if men voted for her, and that's a very, very stupid mistake. It's dumb. It's a terrible blunder, and I mean, someone as educated as Hillary Clinton should know better than that. I mean, this is common sense. You know, this is basic logic. It's basic intelligence. An average person could figure this out, but the reason people don't point this out, I think, is because in America, I mean, it seems like America's more, especially the liberals, they're only focused on the needs of women. They don't care about men. I mean, they're very anti-male. So you're not supposed to talk about the needs of men. You know, that there's just this bias against, you know, men. I mean, women are the boss. It's a matriarchy in modern America. So you're only supposed to focus on women's needs, not men's. I don't know why. That's just the way it is. But it's really stupid, and you know, someone as stupid as Hillary, who doesn't understand common sense, shouldn't even be running for president. I mean, this isn't just about her criminal record, but it's just plain stupidity. And I don't know. I mean, someone like her is supposed to be very educated. She went to the best schools and stuff. So how does she not know basic common sense? It's stupid. Okay. You know, obviously, if you want half the population to vote for you, the men, you got to appeal to them. But she didn't even try to do that. Okay, and I mean, was she expecting that by talking about women's rights, that most men would vote for her just because of that? I mean, that's just so delusional. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if she assumed that, because liberals tend to be delusional. They're not down to earth. They're not living in reality. What I've noticed is that people that are more conservative or right-wing, they tend to be more down to earth. They tend to be easier to talk to. They tend to have a cooler temper. You know, they don't get in a rage every time you disagree with them. And I don't know if you've noticed this, but I've noticed that when you disagree with someone who has liberal views, they get very angry, and you know, usually they'll cut off the friendship with you or just not want to talk to you again, because they can't tolerate people that don't agree with them. They're very intolerant, despite what they claim. And that's ironic, because they try to portray themselves as the party of compassion, as people who are tolerant and compassionate, but they're not, because once you disagree with them, they hate you. They hate your guts. They sneer at you. They're just, I don't know. They're people with mental problems that they're just very hateful and on edge. and very inauthentic and not down to earth. But I've noticed among my conservative friends that when I disagree with them, it's okay. They can handle it. They can maintain the friendship with me, and they can agree to disagree. Okay, they can still keep a friendship with me and not agree with me. Okay, if I don't agree with their conservative views, I mean, and it's because they're more. I guess they're more secure deep down, and they're more real and more authentic. So they can take it when someone doesn't agree with them. They can agree to disagree, and that's the pattern. That's the pattern I've noticed in dealing with conservatives and liberals. I don't know about you, but that's the pattern that I've noticed. So, getting back to the point, yeah, it seems like these liberals are delusional. They think that if they just talk about women's rights and gay rights, the whole country is supposed to vote for them, including men. When I mean, if I'm not gay, if I'm not a woman, why should I care so much about women's rights and gay rights that I put them above my rights and my needs? It doesn't make sense. I'm not the target group. I'm not gay. I'm not a woman. So, and I'm not a feminist trying to seek power. So, why would I vote for someone just because they talk about women's rights if I'm not a woman? It doesn't make any logical sense. But liberals are delusional. They think that all men think the same way they do. That women's rights are the most important thing, and minority rights and gay rights. As if just because the media says so, that women's rights are more important than men's rights and are the only issue, that somehow I'm supposed to agree with that and take it in and say, oh yeah, my rights are not important, only women's rights are important. Why should I do that just because the media says so? I mean, it's stupid. Really, really fucking stupid. Gosh. Why did God create so many stupid people? I mean, there's a saying that I read in the book that says, God must love stupid people because he created so many of them. And another interesting thing I've noticed is that these liberals and these Democrats, they're so obsessed with race. I mean, they always talk about racial issues, and they always try to portray conservatives and right-wing people as racists and bigots and sexist. But in reality, the conservative crowd doesn't even talk about race. The down-to-earth conservative crowd, I mean, they don't talk about race. They don't make an issue out of it. They rarely bring it up. Conservatives, I mean. So, it's ironic that the people that are obsessed with racial equality, they're always talking about race like it's a never-ending battle. It's a never-ending deal. Whereas the people that don't care about it, they just let it be. They just don't, think about it. And I've heard from people living in Europe that this is not a problem in European countries. People don't have races fighting each other or making an issue out of rights like they do in America. I saw this black guy from Sweden. He even said so. He said that in Sweden, people just allow the races to be. I mean, they don't try to create friction between the races or argue about the rights of each of blacks versus whites. They don't do that. They're too down to earth for that. They're too authentic for that. They just let it be. A black is a black and a white is a white, and there's no reason to create friction or make an issue out of it. It just is. There's no reason to even talk about it or obsess with it. But in America, it's like there's all this obsession with race, and it's like an issue. And if you think about it, it's kind of stupid because you can't change your race. So why do you always want to make an issue out of it? I mean, it's like if you do that, it'll never end. because you can't change your race. If you're black, you're always going to be black. If you're Asian, you're going to be Asian. If you're white, you're always going to be white. At least in this life. So, what's the point of making an issue out of it and causing friction over it? It'll never end. It's pointless. It's futile. It's foolish. I mean, you are what you are. If you're Asian, then you're Asian. You know, there's no point in obsessing over it or making friction out of it or drama out of it or creating controversy out of it. What for? I mean, it's a waste of time. Why don't you do something more productive or meaningful, or just enjoy life? You know, like for example, I'm Asian, but I don't think about Asian issues. I don't think about, you know, what it's like to be Asian, or how much I struggle, or whether I'm discriminated against, or you know, whether women like Asian guys. Well, that sometimes I do, but you know, it's not an obsession with me. I don't care about race. Okay, and there's no point in caring about race, because I can't change my race. Okay, I just see myself as a human being, and as an intellectual, and as a truth seeker, and as a free thinker, and as a very genuine person. That's how I see myself. And also, I see myself as a person with honesty and integrity and basic morals. Okay, so, you know, that's my view of myself. I don't see myself as some Asian man that needs to struggle to overcome being Asian. Why would I do that? It's pointless. It's never ending. So, you see, it's just stupid and pointless to talk about racial issues. But the liberals and the Democrats, they're obsessed with it, and it's annoying, because I don't like, you know, seeing them on TV, especially Obama, always talking about racial issues. It's, you know, it's like I said, it's pointless. You'll never get anywhere. It'll never end. It'll never end. You'll just go on forever, and it's pointless. You know, just let it be. You know, just be what you are. Okay. So I don't, you know, unless I hear someone talking about it, I don't think about race. You know, at least I don't think about racial issues, or it's just pointless. So yeah, it's ironic that you know, the people that are supposed to be racist, like the right-wing conservatives or Republicans or whatever, they don't talk about race. They're too down to earth and real. They just let it be. Okay. You know, but you know, another thing is, you know, we all have our preferences, so it's natural to discriminate. I mean, we all want to be with our own kind. We all prefer to be with people that are like us, that have similar interests and views as us. So it's natural to discriminate, and that's up to the individual. You can't have government telling people not to discriminate, or to see everyone as the same, or to see everyone as equal, or to have no preferences. I mean, even liberals discriminate. I mean, even though they might deny it, but they discriminate in that they want to be with people of the same view as them, of the same kind. If you just go outside in public and look at people around you, and you see this, that people tend to bond and group together with others that are the same kind. Most of the time, very often the same race, okay, and people that are similar in views and personalities, and okay, people of the same kind just bond together. They group together. That you see that in public everywhere. So it's natural. It's human nature. Even in the animal kingdom, you see this. If you watch any nature program on animals, you see that the animals group together in the same species. They always travel in groups of the same species. I mean, lions hang out with other lions, elephants with other elephants, hyenas with other hyenas. I mean, even animals hang out with those of the same kind. So why can't humans? I mean, people have a right to discriminate. It's not the government's job to tell people, that they can't discriminate, and they have to integrate and see everyone as the same, and that's not realistic. It's not possible, and it's pointless. It sounds like just an excuse to try to enforce communism or something, to control people and spread communism so that the state can control people, because otherwise it has no logic. And if you if you watch the videos, okay, by people that are very right wing and conservative, like the John Birch Society, for instance, they don't talk about race, and not only that, but they consider themselves moderates, because in the true political spectrum, okay, on the far left is total government and total control versus the far right, which is zero government and anarchy. And if you're moderate, then you believe in a government that's limited and small and only is there to protect the rights of people, the safety and security. So yeah, the point is, okay, people that are classified as conservatives, they don't talk about race, and they're supposed to be the ones that are racist and bigots and sexist, but they're not. When you listen to what they say, they're not. They just want the government to stay out of their lives, and they want freedom and to have free choice, and to have the freedom of thought, to be who they are. Okay, they just don't want the government forcing them to do this or that, or to tell them what to think, because they know that it's up to the individual to think, to choose who they want to be with. Okay, and this makes sense because not everyone is the same, and people should have the right to choose who they want. I mean, if I wanted to be a racist, that's my right. For example, the government can't force me to be colorblind. I mean, it's my choice. It's my opinion. No law can change that. Okay, if someone wants to be racist, no law can change that. I mean, and they have a right to choose who they like and who they don't like. Everybody does. Everybody likes some people, like their friends, more than others that are not their friends. It's natural. Even liberals do that. So this whole notion that everybody is the same and equal is absurd. And the word equal is very nebulous, because people tend to twist it to mean that everyone is equal in every way, and that's not true. Because everyone is different. You have people that are taller, you have people that are stronger, more beautiful, more smart, more wealthy. Everyone is different in in various ways. So there's no such thing as true equality. And this is obvious. I mean, this is what conservatives want. They're not. I think the word conservative is not really an accurate word. They just want to be real. They just want to have the right to choose, what they want to be. For example, if I was an employer, it's my business who I want to hire. It's not right for the government to tell me who I want to hire, or enforce affirmative action laws and tell me that I have to hire a certain percentage of blacks and Hispanics and Asians. An employer has a right to decide who he wants to hire. It's his business. It's not the government's business. So it makes no sense. And I mean, it's just not the government's job to do that, and that's what conservatives want to advocate. Okay. So, anyways, back to the subject. I mean, yeah, I mean, it's kind of delusional for Hillary to think that by just talking about women's rights that that men are going to vote for her. Yeah, and you know, I'm so glad she didn't win because, I mean, who wants a delusional president? I don't. I don't know about you, but yeah, I mean, she was kind of wicked, and she had a criminal history, and she was very inauthentic, and on top of that, she was just delusional. She just, I'm surprised she ever, I mean, she was even allowed to run for president. I mean, she should never have been allowed to run for president, and I'm just relieved. It was a really close call that she didn't get to be president because it would have been awful. I mean, who wants a president that only cares about one gender but totally ignores another? If you're a good person, you should care about the rights of men and women. You should take care of both. You should listen to both of their needs. You don't just listen to women and forget the men, like Hillary does, just because she's a dumb liberal. It's just not the way to do it. It's just not living in reality. It's not reasonable. But of course, like I told you, liberals are not reasonable. They're delusional, and they're a bit crazy. They're not down to earth. That's the problem with them. So I'm glad. Anyways, if you like my video rants, please subscribe. And thanks for listening to this. And I hope that America has a better future and things will start to improve with Donald Trump. Thanks for watching. Take care and have a good day.